Great Scott. Great Scott. Great Scott.
Hello everyone and welcome to another edition of Great Scott. I'm Scotty V and thanks for watching. This upcoming week I will be on an episode of From Crisis to Crisis with hosts Michael Bailey and Jeffrey Taylor. It's a podcast you can check it out. We often talk about it here at the homepage. We talk about it on Radio KAL, and currently they're in their Reign of the Supermen section where they're talking about after Superman has died at the hands of Doomsday and all of the four imposter Supermen that turn up and how things are going on. Having doing this episode with these two guys, they're great Superman fans, they're comic book fans, and they're fun to hang out with and chat with for a while. A flood of emotions came back to me as I was rereading these books, and if you haven't read them, you certainly should. As a Superman fan, I really think that it's a great era of Supermanism. It's really, for me, the time when Doomsday first appears on the scene, all the way up through the death of Superman, the funeral for a friend, the arrival of the imposter Superman characters, and then how it all wraps up and how things go down, who Supergirl turns out to be, who each of the imposters turn out to be. There are surprises and shockers all throughout the arc, and it's I often hear that Doomsday is a one-note character. He's a nothing character. He's a hulking mass, and he kind of is a hulking mass, and he doesn't have much personality, but what he brings to the table is the drama of what happens after he arrives, and the idea that he is able to kill our Man of Steel and wreak such havoc across the globe, and how it changes people's lives going forward. And of course we all know that Superman comes back, and a lot of people said that destroys the impact of the entire story, because if you were going to just bring him back, then it's kind of cheapens it, and it's a cop-out, and it's a way out, and perhaps it is all those things anytime a comic book character is killed and then brought back, but I thought that they pulled it off with such grace and such style. Now when you look at these books, primarily the ones I just went over for this Crisis to Crisis, you can tell that it was a different time for storytelling. There's a lot of exposition. Many characters in the book kind of tell you the story, retell you what happened before, tell you what's going to happen, tell you who characters are, and they don't seem to do that as much anymore, or at least when they do, I'm not really a fan of that type of storytelling. But other than that, there's a lot of drama in the books. I'm not even that big a fan of the art, but I love the whole idea of the impact that killing Superman would have in a world where Superman once existed. So I appreciated the opportunity to go back and read these. Now I feel like I'm going to have to go back and start from the beginning. I don't think I'll read the Doomsday arc, because I have read that many times. I read it in novel form. By the way, Roger Stern wrote I think it's called The Death and Life of Superman, or the Death and Return of Superman, something along those lines. Seek it out, because the novel is fantastic, and it's a great supplement. If you have read the books or the comics before, or if you haven't, you could read that with it. You could read them alongside each other. You could read the novel first. I read the books first, and then I got the novel after, and the novel is just great. It adds so much more detail, so much more emotion, so much more logic and reason behind things that happen that you may not see in a book that's maybe behind the scenes in a comic book. Which is just fantastic, and there's just a lot of things connected to it. The whole Reign of the Supermen is in there, and it's by Roger Stern, who helped formulate a lot of these stories back in the 90s, and was a great addition to the DC team, and is missed nowadays with the way stories are so disjointed, and there is no continuity, and nothing is connected to each other anymore. But that's all there is for now. I just wanted to talk a little bit about the death and return of Superman, the reign of the Supermen, which was going on around this time back in 1993. And I hope you'll check it out if you haven't before and you're a fan. It's something I highly recommend. Thanks everybody for watching, and remember, always look up in the sky.